Hello, you wonderful people. This is Glenda with Sweet Joe with Fralins and Friends. Tonight we're going to be talking about heat and its dangers. My husband has suffered heat exhaustion in the past. We're going to discuss that, and we'll be back in a minute. Years ago. How old would you say you were? In your 30s? It was a hot day.
It's been probably 10 years ago, so I was 50s.
Okay. Anyway, perfectly healthy, able-bodied man working outside, and it was hot.
It was hot, and I had a burn from that, and I was burning brush, trees and that kind of stuff. Wow, it just, the heat from the flame, from the fire, plus the heat from the sun, it just, I just felt kind of overwhelmed. I was just getting really tired. And I started cramping a little bit in my legs. So I went in the house. And I think you gave me a Gatorade at the time. So I was telling about my cramps. I was sweating really bad outside, then I got in the house and I just didn't seem like I could sweat.
When you can't sweat, it's a problem.
Yeah.
I believe I made you lick some salt too.
Yeah, lick some salt and drink a Gatorade. But I still had trouble with cramps that night. Bad cramps.
You have to keep hydrating. Once a lot of people think once you cool down a little bit or get yourself cooled down, get a little bit of hydration and get stuff, you're okay then. Well, it does, the effects stay with you. They may not be as apparent, but they can, like he said, later that night he was getting cramps again. So you have to.
Sick. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you did, because it does make a person nauseous.
It affected me like that for a couple of days. And even after that, if I'd go out in the sun for very long, it just...
And that to this day is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, still bothers me at times, yeah.
If he's going out and working a hot day, I can tell you, he's grabbing a Gatorade these days.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be Gatorade. You can have a water bottle. You can have, it's something that's going to hydrate you. The reason we mentioned, it's not sponsored. We just happen to have it available. They're kind of my props, but it's what we keep around because, for one thing, it helps me keep my electrolytes in balance. And it also, if he's outside doing a lot of work, he's got one of these with him. He didn't used to do that. He used to fight it like a lot of young people do. We used to think, well, younger than we are now. You get it, until something like that happens, you think you're pretty much invincible to it or immune to it. You're not. You're really not. So do be prepared. So we've both had first aid classes. And what's the first thing they tell you to do when somebody has got heat exhaustion or something like that?
Get them to a cool place.
Get them to a cool place. Start.
Get them to drinking water.
Yeah. What about putting cold packs on?
Yeah.
Did they mention that? I can't remember.
I don't know if that's a smart thing to do because you can put them in shock.
Well, yes, you can. If if it's a major thing, then you can. But the main thing is
a cool rag, maybe, but not really ice packs, nothing like that. Just a cool rag on the back of the neck.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's one thing. It used to when we try to take the kids' fevers down. Well, we used to give them cool baths and stuff. But another thing, if a person can't move, is like to put a cool rag. That's for like fevers, but this too. But you put a cool rag like around the back of their neck, maybe even wrap their wrists and stuff, because that's a lot of times where your blood vessels are closest. or more, at, close to the surface.
But I'll just tell you, it affected me for a couple of years that way. I couldn't be out in the sun very long.
Yeah.
I'm gradually kind of getting over it, but this heat gets to everybody. Makes you cranky.
Yeah, it does. It makes us all cranky.
Yeah.
I have not been outside, except, well, you've seen me in a couple videos where I've been out, like, on the porch, but the last one I did was in the evening. The others were before this heat wave hit, but right now, a big part of the United States is in a very high temperature. I mean, we're in the hundreds here. And with humidity, it can get up to where it feels like it's over 110.
Index 109, 110 here lately.
Yeah. So if you are elderly, whether you consider yourself elderly or not, if you, okay, gotta have a little humor. Small children, make sure that they'll just keep going until they fall a lot of times. You just got to make sure you're out there checking on them, keeping them, take some, if you take them to the park, even if it's the water park, you take something they can drink, or make sure that they're getting it from the canteen or whatever they have. Just be careful. Just be careful. And like I said, if you are health compromised like I am, I have COPD. This one couple I follow, she's got cystic fibrosis. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm also very obese. I don't like the fact that I am, but the fact that I can't move a lot contributes to that. But there's just a lot of these factors, so just be very, very careful and keep the fluids.
You don't necessarily have to be in the sun. You can be in a spot in a building where there's no air.
That's a good point. Factories are notoriously hot. He worked in factories a lot, and they used to. He had to get out of them. Well, for one thing, he wanted to get off the concrete, but they do get hot in there. They get very hot, and sometimes even the ventilation isn't nearly enough. So, thank you, hon.
Yep. It's time for bed.
Time for him to go. He's got to go night-night. He has to go to work tomorrow, so. And I don't like it either because he does have to make deliveries out in this hot weather from one place to another at work, so.
We don't keep some air moving in the building. It's hot in there too. You're not
Well, I'm sure it is.
It's just miserable.
Yeah,
Just
so
miserable everywhere.
wherever you are, if your boss is not letting you take breaks to get fluid or not letting you have it at your station, there's got to be some way that you need to relate to them. I am really needing some fluid right now, and they need to be aware of that. They need to be watching for it too.
Most of them, if they're good, they realize this.
And that's good. That's good. Things that do not help, and people constantly do it. Soda pop and beer. In my book, those do not help because, for one thing, beer's a diuretic. It makes you lose fluid. So, it just, and soda pop, you got a whole lot of sodium in there. It's not going to replace that fluid the way it needs to be replaced. So, anyway, good night, dear.
Good night. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you, everybody, and I'm glad you've been listening to us. And yes, I will edit my little pauses out of here. I brought the rag along because I was going to demonstrate. It's perfectly dry, but I was going to demonstrate on Joe, and it doesn't matter. But one thing you can do is get a cold wet rag or a cool wet rag and just kind of pat yourself down, get that temperature down. And especially like places like here, you need that blood cool going to your brain. You don't want that heat in that blood to be going to your brain for a long term. It's not good. It's not good. So I don't know how many doctors will back me up on that. I'm sure almost all of them would. But take care of yourselves. Be careful. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Be sure to give us a like.
Yeah, and be sure to. And please smile and wave. People need that friendliness.
They need to know we're friendly people and puppies.
Yeah, you can smile and wave at us too. Just give us your hand so we can sniff it.
Yeah, that's why we know you're friendly.
I ought to put that in the recording. Jeez. Anyway. Shut up. Oh.